So the entrepreneurship license is very promising. It is very exciting, especially for those who are low on budget. Unfortunately, a lot of people think that, okay, if you are a non-Saudi and you want to open a business in here, then it's very expensive. But I said, unfortunately, a lot of people, they don't know about the entrepreneurship license. This is the answer to most of the startups and small businesses. What I'm really excited about is that Saudi is not just giving premium residencies, they're also giving citizenships. And it's very exciting because there are a lot of us who don't find any place on earth, home, other than Saudi. We call it A/B testing. So have a landing page, for example, for let's say 50 riyal per month, another one with 100 riyal per month, and then measure how many of them clicked on the 50 riyal and how many clicked on the 100 riyal. You don't have to charge them. You could apply to an accelerator. Like let's say if you have a mature startup, you not only have an idea, but you have an MVP, probably you might have a product, you might have the team ready, you might have a little bit of sale, revenue, then the accelerators will accelerate your growth.
Welcome to Success Saudi, a podcast featuring leaders and entrepreneurs in KSA. Our aim is to provide you with local tips and wisdom to help you on your own journey to success. My name is Maria Kamedi, and I'm here today with Ahmad Mushtaq. Ahmad is a business and tech consultant, the founder and CEO of Ibtdara, an alumni of Prince Mohammed bin Salman College of Business and Entrepreneurship, and a Saudi premium resident. I became familiar with Ahmad through the informative content that he shares on LinkedIn about starting a business in KSA, particularly for foreigners, and I really can't wait to learn more about his experiences. Special thanks to Dura Al Hada Compound for hosting us today. At what point did you decide to enroll in Prince Mohammed bin Salman College for Entrepreneurship?
Oh yeah, that was a very pivotal moment in my life. Like the MBSC college, I didn't realize at that time that this decision would impact so much positively. And I'm not bragging about the college. They're not paying me to promote them. But I was into a lot of events. And then I had this friend of mine, Aaron Johnson. He's from the US. And he was enrolled in the first batch at MBSC.
What year was that?
I think it was part of 2017.
Okay,
yeah.
around there.
And I was in the second batch, 2018.
Wow.
Yeah, so he asked me like, you should. He convinced me to join. And I was like, not convinced, coming from a technical background. Like, why do I need a business degree? And I don't know if it will be beneficial. You know, I'm good at what I'm doing. I'm a programmer.
Yeah.
And I have my side company. I'm earning good at my job. But I was very active in community work. Like I was part of this Google startup grind. That's how I met Aaron Johnson.
Okay.
And Aaron Johnson was the director. I was the co-director. And I was doing WordPress events, Facebook developer circles, and very active in the community. And I think the community work led me meet Aaron Johnson, who then convinced me to join MBSC. And luckily at that time they were giving scholarships.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was lucky. So otherwise the degree is like more than 300,000 reals.
Did you get a full scholarship?
No, I got 67%. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, and the remaining, they were not that hard on the remaining. I paid them in installments, and later they became my clients. So the college became my client. So yeah, but that's not the best part. The best part is that's how I came to know about the licensing.
About the entrepreneurship license.
Exactly, about the entrepreneurship license.
So, did you still keep your job when you were studying was it like an executive MBA or it was?
Yeah, it was an executive MBA. My classes were usually Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, so I had to take off on Thursday.
Okay, and you were able to do that?
Yeah, but those 2 years were very hectic, like very hectic, because we had our firstborn.
Wow.
Yeah, and for some reasons we had like visa difficulties. We couldn't get the maid from Pakistan, and it was so difficult to get a full-time maid. The maids we had in Saudi were mostly part-time, and yeah, my mother was not well, and then I had this MBA, and then my job, and then my side business. So yeah, I'm really very thankful to my partner that she was very supportive
Wow.
If I don't know if I would ever be able to go through that period if she was not there. Yeah.
Who would you recommend to get an executive MBA? Like, I remember once I graduated with a bachelor's and I was in the workforce at a certain time, I was advised, like, no point to go get your MBA now. Just, continue and learning in business. And also now there's so many MBA programs online that you can do, but you chose to do this MBA in person, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you were already working. So who do you think, should maybe consider doing an MBA like you did?
Yeah, I remember comparing MBSC with other online programs that were very flexible, and I was able to get the degree from, for example, Liverpool, or even I think at that time Harvard had that online program. But I forgot who gave me this advice, but it still holds true. It's a very valid advice that you should do MBA from the place where you want to build your network. So see who will be applying to that college. Like if I did an online MBA, so I would not be able to utilize that network, right? And if it's only for the education, you could find that education online. Now we have ChatGPT, and most of the MIT courses, for example, are free, available on YouTube, without the degree, of course.
Yep.
And just the MBA degree might be useful for you if you're a Saudi, but if you're non-Saudi, then I would say that focus on the network, and the network helped me a lot.
Interesting. That's great advice.
Yeah, thanks. Someone give it to me. I wish
Thanks
I
to
remembered.
that person. Wow.
Credit goes to that person that I don't remember anymore.
So tell us a little bit more about Sohoby IT Solutions. It started as a side hustle, right?
Yeah.
And then you decided to take that full time.
Yeah, so it started when I was in Wall Street English. So I started this side hustle. I incorporated the company in Pakistan, and so which means we were doing projects from all around the world, but the company was registered in Pakistan.
And was this before you did your MBA?
Yeah, this was before I did.
Okay, so you had registered a company in Pakistan,
Yeah.
and you were doing this on the side.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think those folks who still think that, okay, how can we leave the 9 to 5? How can we get rid of the job? I never wanted to get rid of my job. Like the pay scale was fine, but I had nothing to do at my job. Like I finished my work in 1 hour. The rest, like 7, 8 hours, like I always ask myself like, what should I do next? I started bringing in projects in the company, like giving the idea to my management that, okay, we should implement this or that, such as CRM systems or a marketing technology system, for example. But turns out the company where I was working, they were fine with their existing systems, and they had this. They didn't say that, but I felt the mantra was, if it's not broken, why fix it? So yeah, I got fed up, and I started receiving calls because I used to work in an agency before, and I started getting work. So I started building a company in Pakistan. I formed the team in Multan, initially a
Okay.
team of freelancers, and then I used to forward that work to Pakistan.
Yep.
Kept me busy on the side. But then, yeah, fast forward, when I joined a BSc, I came to know about the licensing. I said, okay, that's it. I should leave my job and start this full time. So that's how Sohoby started full time in 2020, exactly to 2019. But on the sides, I was working on it since 14 or 15. Yeah.
Okay, so you learned about the entrepreneurship license, and can you tell us about what you had to do to bring your company from Pakistan to Saudi under that license? I mean, was it the same company, or did you start something new, and what was required?
Sure. So the entrepreneurship license is very promising. It is very exciting, especially for those who are low on budget. And unfortunately, a lot of people think that, okay, if you are a non-Saudi and you want to open a business in here, then it's very expensive. The license is, it's true, the normal license, the service license, now they have changed the name, is 62,000 Riyal per year. And for someone who's just starting out and they want to experiment the market, it's not affordable. But I said, unfortunately, a lot of people, they don't know about the entrepreneurship license. This is the answer to most of the startups and small businesses. So if you can somehow convince the ministry that your idea is innovative, you can get the entrepreneurship license. And we could talk in detail like how to get it.
Yeah, if we could talk in detail, because I think a lot of people are curious about that. And I've heard different things. I've heard it's relatively easy to get, and then I've heard it's very difficult. So if you can tell us about your experience.
Sure. So I made a couple of videos on this, both in English and Arabic. So I would really be grateful if you could share the links to those videos.
Okay, definitely.
But in order to get the entrepreneurship license, you have to convince the ministry, which is Ministry of Investment, that you have an innovative idea. And the ministry does not directly get convinced. They have delegated it to different entities. And those entities could be incubators, accelerators. In my case, it was the college. The college had its internal incubator for the students.
Okay.
And a lot of universities have these incubators.
And are they only for students?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
So MBAC's incubator was called Venture Lab. At that time, it was only for the students. I heard that they were working on opening it for others.
Okay.
But there are incubators in other universities that do provide support to non-students as well.
Okay, and what does that mean? You have to convince them that your idea is innovative. Like, who are you meeting with? I mean, what are you doing?
Let's take one entity as an
Okay.
example. So we have Misk Launchpad. It's an incubation program by Misk, Misk Entrepreneurship.
Yep.
And it's a virtual program. For those who are interested, I highly recommend this one because you don't have to take any physical classes.
Okay.
So there are incubators and then there are accelerators. So let's say if you just have a startup idea
Yeah.
and you're a first-time founder, you have no clue about business,
Yep.
you would naturally apply for an incubator.
Okay.
Because what does an incubator do is that they take your idea, it's an egg, and they incubate it. So then your idea will come out of the egg, and then you can go into the real world, and work on an idea. So that's the incubation came from, the word incubator. So usually what happens is that they have their programs. They open, Misk Launchpad is open right now. I think it's Misk Launchpad 8.
Okay.
They open twice a year, and you apply with your pitch deck. And the pitch deck is the presentation about your idea, what's the problem you're solving, what's your solution, how many founders you are, what do you think the market size is, how much progress you can make, how much you will be hiring in the future, will you be taking any investment or not. So there is a standard template for pitch decks everybody can find online.
Okay.
So you just fill it up, you apply, and then there are other fields on the application form, such as if you have a website or not, how many co-founders you are. I highly recommend that you go with 3 co-founders if you want to get accepted, because solopreneurs are usually rejected. I've been on the other side of the table, so I know that they do check for these criteria. And have your social media for your startup ready, because that's how they see that, all right, this startup is serious. Even though they're in ideation phase, they have their social media ready.
Well, to establish your social media and everything, that sounds a little bit more than just an idea.
Well, at
I
least
mean, you
talk
have
about
to-
your idea.
Okay.
Because you have to keep in mind that you're competing with other folks
Right.
who are also applying. So it depends on your cohort, like who you're competing with.
But it doesn't sound to me that it's at this point you're just approaching with an idea you have. Like you have to really think through that idea enough, you know, to create a name, create profiles, have a presence.
Or at least, like I would say that the better, these are not compulsory, these are
Yep.
optional. The compulsory part is the presentation and the founder's information.
Okay.
The rest are optional.
Okay.
But if you have them, your chances of getting accepted are high.
Yeah.
It's just like when you're applying to a university degree program. So it depends on who you're competing with from the pool of students.
And I think that's good general advice anyway. If you have an idea, like try to put it out there.
Yeah.
You know, even if it is just like an Instagram page, you know, start connecting with your potential customers and just see, like, don't wait to have, you know, your business set up. Like just start, I don't know, creating a community, which is something you did that I think we'll talk about. So anyway, back to the applying to the incubator.
Just one more point
Yeah,
I wanted to
yeah.
add here is that you always have to think what the other party, what's the pain point of the other party. In this case, is the incubator.
Yes.
The incubators have, I'm assuming they have these KPIs that, okay, you have these many startups graduating from your cohort. How many of them are really getting to the market?
Yeah.
So they don't want to get startups that are not serious.
Yeah.
So you have to see that what criteria they follow, or they probably have a checklist that, okay, probably this startup is not going to make it even if we spend our resources on them. They're just, and there are people who are just wasting time, their time and the incubator's time. So and they have limited slots. They cannot enroll everyone.
Yes.
So they have to make sure that their limited resources are spent on the right people.
And you recommend having 3 co-founders.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yes. I recommend that because that you would also read that in most, like even in Y Incubator, the one in the US. So the reason why they recommend 3 co-founders is that first it gives, if they're from different backgrounds, that's great. Like one could be the CTO, one could be the CEO, whether from a finance background, for example. And the main reason is that, okay, solopreneurs, the chances of them failing is usually very high.
Okay.
Because they lose motivation. Startup is starting, like you started, like you have a startup, right? So it's difficult. You need to have a lot of motivation, right? And mostly the struggle is here,
Right.
in your head.
Right.
So when you have like 3 co-founders, so even if one is trying to back off, the other 2 will help him get back on track.
Because inevitably there will be dips.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so you're going in, you put together your pitch deck, you fill out the applications, you have other co-founders, and you apply to the incubator. And the one that you're suggesting people might look into is the Misk Launchpad.
Yeah.
How long is the program?
So usually the program, I remember they mentioned, because I got my second entrepreneurship license from Misk Launchpad.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, and the program lasts, I remember, for 3 months, 3 to 4 months, and then after that they give you a certificate if you have attended all the classes and have finished all the milestones. Usually the milestones are related to you materializing your idea to an MVP.
Okay.
So for example, if you have a tech idea, they help you build not the exact product, but an MVP of the product, the minimal viable product. So you can at least go in the market and test it out. So that takes 3 to 4 months. And if you have gone through all the milestones and you have the certificate from them, then you apply to them for the support letter. So this is a support letter which will get you the entrepreneurship license from Ministry of Investment.
Is that pretty much guaranteed? That if you get this letter from the registered incubator or certified whatever from the Ministry of Investment, that you're going to get the entrepreneurship
So
license?
I don't speak.
Yeah, okay.
In my case, it did.
Yeah.
And for most of my friends and clients who applied, they did. But I don't speak on behalf of the incubator or the ministry.
Right.
They could reject.
Yep.
For their own reasons. They have their reasons. but I haven't seen any rejections.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is one way. Other way is that you could apply to an accelerator. Like let's say if you have a mature startup, you not only have an idea, but you have an MVP, probably might have a product, you might have the team ready, you might have a little bit of sale, revenue, then the accelerators will accelerate your growth. So,
Okay.
and the process to apply to an accelerator is usually very competitive because they are harsh, they're hard. They don't accept everyone.
Okay, and just going back to the incubator again, could you do that process while working a full-time job? Or do they require you to focus on it full-time for that 3 months?
So most incubators, they don't require you to leave your job,
Okay,
and they do understand, like most of these organizations, they do understand that it's a difficult decision to leave your full-time income, you know, it's a stable income. So they do accommodate you.
Okay.
But there are some programs such as the Taqaddum Accelerator from CAST. They do expect you to attend the physical classes, which are on the weekends, Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
And they, by the way, Taqaddum is like one of the best in accelerators. They not only provide you with good mentorship and training, but also they give you grants. So anybody who gets accepted, I remember last time they were paying, I'm not sure if they changed, $20,000 to each startup. Taking no equity from the startup. So it's like a grant given to you.
Wow.
So you can work on your startup.
It seems like there's a lot of like incentives and support from these different entities. I think maybe it might just be a little bit confusing on where to start.
Yeah.
Because you hear of so many different programs and so many different things. It's like, okay, which one's right for me? Any advice on how to figure that out?
Yeah, so that's a very important question because not all of it, what I mentioned, is relevant to everyone, right? So if you're just starting out and you have no clue and you just have an idea,
Yeah.
like, okay, I wanna start a bakery, for example, and you think that it will be very successful, but you don't know, and you don't have the connections or anything, then just look for any incubator. Incubators. You should not go to any accelerator. You should not.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And try to find an incubator which is the most feasible for you. So for example, if you cannot attend in-person sessions, then go with the one which has virtual sessions.
Right.
Because what happens in these programs, they get you ready for the market.
Yep.
So the first step would be apply to these programs.
Okay.
And then you will get rejected. There's no fee, okay? You might get rejected. I hope everyone who applies get accepted. But if you get rejected, ask why.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see these incubators and accelerators in every major events here. Go and meet them
Yeah.
in the events. Get out of the comfort zone, go meet them, ask them that my application got rejected. Can you help me? Why? So I can improve next time. So then apply for the next cohort.
Yeah, that's great advice.
And be better in the next time. So maybe the first time you applied, you didn't have a social media account, you didn't have a domain, you didn't have an email. You probably just applied with a presentation and with the startup name. That's it. And you got rejected. So next time, try to fill in the optional stuff that you missed.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion, asking why, so you can see how to improve next time. And also talking to people who are involved in these things, because you're just going to get so much insight and advice.
I'm so jealous of Riyadh because we don't have such a thing in Jeddah. So you have this amazing place called the Garage. So you have been that place, right?
Yeah.
So it always gives me goosebumps whenever I go there. Like you have startups, like imagine these are future millionaires, right? Some of them already are because they raised funding, and they're accessible to you right there. You just ask them, and these people want to help.
And they're having regular events there, right? That somebody who isn't involved, like isn't part of the ecosystem yet, that they can join.
Oh yeah, it's open to all.
So Is there any way that somebody can kind of test the waters of their idea or their product before formally registering it here in Saudi and joining the incubators and accelerators, or, getting the CR? Is like, could I maybe take my idea and work under a registered company to test it out, or do you know what I'm asking?
Yeah, yeah.
Is there any way to do that, like under the legal parameters?
So I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah.
So don't take my advice on it. But usually the bookish advice is that if you have anyone paying for your service or product, doesn't matter how much, it means there's need in the market. There are people like those. So there's anyone who's willing to pay. That's one of the biggest indicators that you should pursue it. You could start with, let's say, but there are also ways which are completely legal. Like, for example, you could run an ad, online ad, just send it on Instagram. It's so easy, right?
Right.
Like, okay, let's say if you started, give me an idea, like any idea that you want to start, Maria, a product or a service.
Okay, I want to start a business community for female entrepreneurs, kind of membership only,
Okay.
apply for an annual membership type of thing.
All right, so a business community for females that are interested in entrepreneurship,
Right.
And you want to have a membership for that.
Right.
So in order to test the water, you could, without like investing in a website or investing in registering a company,
Yep.
you can just run an online ad. Invest maybe 100 riyals, that's it, and see how many people sign up. And just leave a message that will get back to you.
Join the waiting list.
Join the waiting list, exactly. Yep. And then you can further test the waters that, okay, how much they're willing to pay, for example. Maybe ask them a questionnaire, or maybe just have the price tags that, okay, membership, like we call it A/B testing. So have a landing page, for example, for let's say 50 riyal per month, another one with 100 riyal per month, and then measure that how many out of, let's say, 1,000 people who actually clicked on the ad, how many of them clicked on the 50 riyal and how many clicked on the 100 riyal. You don't have to charge them. The indicator that they clicked on it means that they were willing to pay.
And on the same landing page, could you just have different packages or options like ABC?
You could, you could if you want like more data.
Yeah.
And I know people who have not joined any incubator or accelerator, and they just simply tested the water.
Yep.
And they just took this data to an investor that says, see, there is potential.
Huge.
And the investor is smart enough to see dollars in the future, and they invest.
Yeah.
And then these investors, I know you have invited some of them on your podcast. So these investors, mostly angel investors, are already well connected with these incubators and accelerators. So the journey.
That's great advice.
Yeah. So usually, thanks. So usually the journey is not the same for everyone. Some people start with the investment. Some people start with the incubator. Some people, they don't go with neither investment nor the incubator, and they just have their customers. The customers keep paying and they keep building their product.
Now, you and I have both gotten into marketing and media and that industry and business. So I think we have more of an idea about how to go about that, setting up a landing page and all that. What about somebody who's not really familiar with that stuff? Like, could they hire somebody to help them with this?
Yeah, that's another very important question. It's a good one. So general advice usually shared in the entrepreneurial ecosystem is that startups are short on cash in the start, right? So it's what you can offer is equity. So you could have a co-founder who could be a CTO, and that person is capable to do everything by himself or herself, right? If we're talking about technical
Right.
expertise. If you are running a social club and you're an introvert, you're not. I know you're not, but let's assume if you were, but you are passionate about this, then probably you would look for a co-founder who's an extrovert and a social butterfly and could run those social gatherings, right? And you could focus on the admin work,
Right.
the operations. So.
And I am an introvert, just so you know.
Ah, really? Oh, you don't look like it. Seriously.
Yeah, and that's
Wow.
why I
Are you an ambivert or introvert?
I'm not really sure of the difference, but that's one of the reasons I really enjoy these podcasts because it's
Okay.
one-on-one.
Interesting.
If I go to like a networking event, I'm super overwhelmed.
Okay.
And it like freezes me because of like all the stimulation and I'm exhausted after.
Okay.
So yeah, it's funny how we have different perceptions of people. But so I want to ask you about that too, because in my businesses, I feel like I could have so much benefited from somebody with more technical expertise, but for whatever reason, I never meet those people. So how can somebody find or connect with a technical co-founder?
Okay, so remember I told you about Y Incubator, right? So they have an online forum.
Okay.
And where you can anyone can register an account, post your idea, and you will have so many leads. I'm not sure if in Saudi we have such a platform. I remember a few folks working on such a platform. I do understand now when you tell me that you're an introvert, such platforms will be very useful for introverts because you don't want to go to a networking event. But I still feel like networking events are one of the best ways to actually see if someone who wants to be a co-founder is actually passionate about your idea. You could feel that, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's so much to meeting in person, but like, if somebody could like give me guidance into the networking event, like talk to him, her, him. Okay, I have a mission. It's not just chit chatting with all these people and trying to hope for some match. You know, is there anybody that if I was looking for a technical co-founder, I could, go to and ask, where should I go? Where can I meet these people? Who should I talk to?
Yeah, so from the top of my head, I remembered this event in San Francisco. I think last
Saudi Arabia. Come on, bring it back.
I'm sure those events happen here in Saudi as well.
Yeah.
It's just that I'm not in Riyadh, and I mostly go to exhibitions. So, but if you go to Garage, probably they do have these events.
Yeah, I need to find out.
Yeah, so after every talk, let's say it's maybe a training or workshop, they do invite people, and they ask that, okay, if you have a shout out, so you can just come here and you have like 30 seconds to talk about your idea.
Oh, I love that.
And just say that, okay, I have this idea of social club for female entrepreneurs. If you're interested to participate in any way, just
But particularly in a technical way. Yes.
Oh yeah, exactly. You could start in that way, yeah. And then after your shout out, you can go back and people will start approaching you.
Oh, I love that they allow that.
Yeah.
That makes such a difference, right?
Or even if they don't allow that, you can request the host of that event to speak on your behalf. You don't have to, right. Can you please do me a favor? I'm working on this idea and I need technical co-founders. Can you please ask after the event is over or during the session? I would be really grateful. And
That's
great
advice.
People, you will be surprised that people really want to help.
They do, and that's definitely what I found by these interviews. Is there's so many people in the startup ecosystem that really do want to help.
Yeah, startups are so short on so many resources. So these connections are one of the most useful resources that every startup understands, or every startup founder understand that, okay, the more favors they will lend to others, it will come around in some way or another. I'm not saying that do it in a selfish way, but most of them, they do it maybe because they know that someone helped them and they feel like, okay, they want to help back to the community, right?
Exactly.
This like reciprocity, I feel. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. What are 3 things that most people overlook when they launch a business here in KSA that could save them time or money?
Okay. I'll give you an example from my own experience. So when I started Sohoby full time,
Yep.
oh, I feel so ashamed, so guilty that I wish someone could have told me not to waste my time and energy on things I had done in order to, of course, grow the business.
Yep.
So a lot of advice there, and especially bookish advice, is not applicable to everyone, right? So, for example, there's advice applicable for enterprises or maybe companies in the U.S., but it's not applicable here in the Saudi, right? So, connections are everything here.
Yep.
So your connections help you a lot. I remember my early customers in Sohoby were those connections that I made in the past 3-4 years through my community work. So I did these free workshops because I was just passionate. I didn't expect anything. So I was just spreading technical information, how to create a website, how to create an ad, how to create a landing page, how to create a mobile app, and this and that. And these folks were working in good positions in different companies, but they were tied and they were not learning in their position. So they came to these workshops. But when I started Sohoby, they were my first customers.
Wow.
They were my first customers. And now it's so obvious, but I feel so guilty. Why was this not so obvious in the start? I wasted so much money on online ads. I wasted so much money on marketing tactics that were not applicable to me. People buy from you, not just in Saudi, but I think it's applicable everywhere because they trust you.
Right.
They know that, okay, we don't want to compare your service with anyone else. They find you credible. And in my case, for Sohoby, these early customers, like almost all of them, have attended my workshops. And they know that, okay, this guy knows his stuff. So probably whatever he's selling, we should get him introduced to our managements. I wish I wouldn't have ignored this. So, and I would have kept doing workshops. I stopped doing workshops. I didn't focus much on these seminars. I said, okay, no, I want to focus on my business.
Right.
And down the line, it did affect my revenue. But later on, I did realize that I have to keep doing these workshops, which I do now for my other business, Ibtdara. So for example, every week we have these free webinars.
Yeah, this is something that I really want to talk more about because you've done a lot around your businesses in creating business groups, doing the webinars, creating online educational content. And I think that's like so important. And it seems like you agree and you found that as well, or you wouldn't be doing it. So I want to talk about like how you got started with that.
Yeah, and that just happened naturally. I had
Yeah.
no intent that, okay, I'll get customers out of content creation. So when I started Sohoby, in parallel, whenever I got free time, so I will just document whatever I was going through. Like today I had this issue with the ministry, today I had this issue with this license, or I found the solution and I just wanted to document it and put it down.
For yourself, or what was your intent? Do you usually document things? You take pictures of your meals?
No, not that kind of stuff. But I don't judge who do, but I don't do that.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a good question. Like, why did I document? I think I documented mainly because it was difficult for me to find the solution. So I thought, okay, maybe someone else would search for it and find it,
Yep.
and it would be easier.
So what platform were you?
I was initially
documenting it?
using YouTube.
Okay.
Most of my content was in English. And
I had to search back further then to get the English content.
Yeah, if you go like 4 or 5 years back,
Okay.
the initial content was in English.
Okay.
But then down the line, you would notice so many people commenting on my content that I needed this in Urdu, I need this in Urdu, I need this in Urdu. So much so. And then I realized, when you go in the market and then you meet with a lot of people, I realized that people who are English speaking, they still can find this information easily through the ministry or through, even though it's still, there's a gap, but still
Yeah.
they can. But I didn't find anyone when I searched this content in Urdu. So I saw a huge gap there.
Yep.
That's when, I think a year ago or 2 years ago, I remember I decided to completely shift to Urdu.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us about your content creation now. Is it still documenting your journey? Do you have like a plan of when you're going to create content, what kind of content you're going to create? How do you go about that now?
Okay, so let me go back to your question first,
Yeah.
because I think I remember more that you asked me that what motivated you to document that.
Yeah.
So I come from a technical background, and we technical folks usually document a lot of stuff. Like, okay, I found this solution, it was a bug, I fixed it this way, and then I will screen record it and I share it. So I feel like that was also, and the motivation was the same, that someone else would find the solution.
Right.
So, and I applied that, like you would say this is a perfect example of cross-domain knowledge. The knowledge I had from the technical domain, I applied it here, and it worked. And there was a gap in the market. So regarding my content creation schedule, sometimes I'm very, and you're a content creator yourself, so in terms of podcast, and you know how important being consistent is. So sometimes I'm very consistent. So like 7 days a week, every day I will wake up early before I get ready for office. So I got ready for office, I'm ready. I have my separate area in home,
Okay.
at home, where nobody touches it. The camera is ready, the lighting is ready, the microphone is ready, and I'll just turn it on, record it, and then upload it to a drive, a common drive, where my editor will then, I will inform my editor that I've uploaded a video. And usually I'm like 10 videos ahead. So he's always working on,
Wow.
on the previous videos.
And what are you talking about?
I usually don't follow any, like there's no, I wish I had a content, a script writer. I think there's a lot of value in that, but it's just, I'm hiring so much for other roles that I haven't gotten time to hire a script writer. But usually what I do is I just, whatever it's in my head, I would just write it down on my phone as a,
Yeah.
as a reminder that, okay, it's a list, it's a list in my notes that, okay, I have to work on this idea, I have to work on this idea. And then when I will wake up and fresh, I'll go through that list, okay, today I will make a video on this topic, and I just make it.
I do the same thing with writing down like little things that come up on my phone or pieces of inspiration. But then how do you just take that topic and start talking about it, or do you have to like write out kind of get your thoughts together through writing first?
So I feel like I'm at a very early stage, and I think this advice I got it from Gary Vaynerchuk. He was here, by the way, 2 years ago in an event, and I was fortunate to meet him.
Wow.
Yeah, and in Riyadh. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, he's amazing. So, and one advice he keeps sharing is that don't overthink it. Just focus on the quantity in the start, and then your content, the analytics will give you direction.
Yeah.
So, for example, in my content creation, I felt that even though the camera is so fancy, the lighting is amazing, the audio quality is great, and it's crisp, it might not get so much views as opposed to if I make a video from a camera, but I'm not looking into the camera, I'm talking to a person, and he's asking a question, and I answered to that question. So somehow those get more than 100,000 views in just a day. Yeah, I now go with both. Like sometimes I go to the office, I'm in the office, and all of a sudden I want to make a video.
Yep.
So I have my portable microphone. I'll ask my team member to volunteer, and then we'll make a video out of it. And my editor will edit it later.
So, do you would you give the same advice that you got from Gary Vee? Just focus on the quantity and getting it out there, and
Yeah.
not overthinking it.
Yeah, even Ali Abdal, famous YouTuber from the UK, he has millions of followers. He gives the same advice. Like initially, just follow on the volume of or the quantity of your videos, and then see where it leads you, right? Because you might be working, overthinking on a specific subject or specific direction, but the market maybe does not want that.
Right.
Right? That there's a gap in the market, and the only way we can find that gap is when we're experimenting with different formats and different titles, different subjects.
What about people who think, well, I don't want to look silly, you know, I don't know, who are just apprehensive, especially about putting yourself out there for the first time. You know, it gets easier and easier, and then you don't even think about it.
Yeah.
But when it comes to starting, sometimes like, oh, I don't want to put my video out there. Like, what are my colleagues going to say? How do you respond to that?
Yeah, I really don't know how can I respond or what advice should I give, because I might be very biased, because I don't sweat it that much. I don't take myself too seriously.
Yeah.
So I remember, I think this is linked to an early memory in my childhood, where there were multiple times my father will put me into situations which were very embarrassing, but he would do that on purpose. Like, for example, we were at a Saudi wedding, and you know, in Saudi weddings, they usually dance with the swords, right?
Yep.
And then I used to, you know, kids, how I don't know how to say it in English, but usually kids say they kind of roll their legs. There's a word for it. I don't know if I helped you imagine it. Like when you're on the floor, kids, they usually dance on the floor, such kind of stuff. I don't have a name for it. So I knew how to dance in that fashion. And my father literally forced me to go there and dance. I remember I was about to cry. But I still remember that. And then after that, I felt like, okay, because the crowd cheered, and the aftermath of that was positive. So I still remember that, okay, before that, it was all the suffering was due to because of my own thoughts. I was overthinking the situation. But after what I did, everybody was cheering it up, and they were happy, and they were like giving me thumbs ups. So I think that stick in my head for till now, that it's most of the stuff we are afraid of is just in our heads.
Would you do the same thing to your own son?
I try to do it, yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, I try, yeah.
So, talking again about the content creation, the webinars, the community groups, you do one-on-one consultations. Out of all of those, is there one that really you think is like your time best spent and you get like the most return somehow?
Live webinars.
Live webinars?
Yeah, so imagine the group sessions, the physical sessions. I had like maximum 50 people attending.
Yeah, which is
not
a
more
lot.
than that. Yeah, that helped me so much in Sohoby. So imagine when you're doing a webinar and there's no limit on the number of attendees. Like now we do webinars, we have 3,000 people attending.
Wow.
Of course we run ads, but
Yeah.
people, they join if it's because it's free. We're not charging for anything. And out of those 3,000, it keeps my 5 consultants always busy. They want to come and meet us in the office. They become loyal. They find us credible because there's no filter.
Yep.
We answer all their questions live, and they just want to work with us.
And how often are you doing the live webinars?
I am focusing now only on webinars.
Oh, really?
Yeah, mostly on webinars. Sorry, only would be the wrong word.
Mostly.
Mostly on webinars. I do create content till now. But the webinars, like I have an ad continuously running, which leads to a landing page where they register, they get WhatsApp reminders and notifications for webinars. So my aim is to, if I'm not traveling, my aim is to conduct webinars every week, or at least twice a month.
And what is required from like a technical side to do a webinar? What is there a software you recommend? How is that? I've never done one.
So if one wants to avoid all the technical hassle, go with Zoom. Zoom has webinar option. Zoom also offers you registration page.
Okay.
So the reminding part will be done by Zoom. I prefer doing it on YouTube, and the reason is that people are coming anyways and they will subscribe. Okay? Because if they're coming to Zoom, you have to ask them to leave and subscribe.
Right.
Right.
So you can do like a private webinar through your YouTube
Yeah.
page?
Yeah, but I keep it public, by the way.
Oh,
I
you
used
keep it,
to-
okay.
Initially, I did it unlisted, so private, but now I keep it public. So people, even after, they do share the webinar with their friends and family.
Yeah, makes sense.
So it's like compounding effect.
Can you edit it after it's published?
That's the thing. You cannot.
You cannot. Okay, so if
Yeah.
you say something that maybe you don't want.
There's so many, so many embarrassing moments.
Oh,
but then
wow.
you just have to say sorry.
Right.
Yeah, just sorry. I think that's the part people love, the being genuine part.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like no filter, no editing, and if there's a mistake, there's sometimes I give out some information which was wrong,
Yeah.
and then later in the next webinar I would admit it. And by the way, remember if you are joining again in that webinar, that was a pickup, for example. So I will admit it. People love it.
Yeah.
And this was the part I was afraid of, actually. That's why I was in favor of in-person sessions because nobody's recording,
Right.
and I was not in favor of live webinars. So this was a hesitation for many, many months, actually years. I had this idea that I should be doing webinars. It makes sense. You could
Yeah.
reach so many people out there because coming to a place takes time. 100 will register, only 20 will show up. So
Not everyone's in Riyadh, some are in Jeddah.
exactly. So tell me about it. So, but yeah, that was the part which I was afraid of. That
Yeah.
what if I give out wrong information? How will I be able to edit it, right? So, but then I said, yeah, fine. You can just start with the webinar that okay, I apologize in advance.
Yeah.
If there's any wrong information, do cross-check everything. But this
Yeah.
is to whatever I'm sharing is with my best intention.
Yeah. Best knowledge at this time.
Yeah.
Makes sense. How long are the webinars usually?
1 hour long.
1 hour.
Yeah. So usually I finish in it within 20 to 30 minutes, and the rest are usually questions.
Okay.
People are mostly waiting for the questions part, the Q&A part.
They're coming with their own questions.
Yeah.
From your experience, what are the biggest challenges that you find foreign entrepreneurs face here in Saudi?
So what are the biggest challenges?
Yeah.
Do you mean non-Saudi entrepreneurs or in general? All?
Yes, non-Saudis, foreigners coming, and they start and establish their business here. What are the biggest challenges you see them encounter?
Yeah. So now, this is based on my observations,
Yeah.
of course. Now, when you're starting any startup, either you have to initially have early customers, or you need to have investment so you can build something, and then you will market your product or service and then have the customers.
Right.
Both of these groups are mostly Saudis. So you're here in Saudi, you're selling a service or product. We're Saudi.
Just two Saudis, you mean? Your customers are Saudis?
Customers
Yeah.
and your investors,
Okay.
right? Most likely, I mean. So I feel that non-Saudi entrepreneurs, when they come here, it's a tendency, I feel like, in every human being that they want to be close to familiarity. So you'll try to live in a compound where there's mostly non-Saudis, or they'll hang around with, if I'll talk about Pakistan, if you're a Pakistani, you'll hang around Pakistanis only. But the point is that they're not going to give you insights, or they're not going to give you that information which might help you making your startup successful, right? You
To
will not be
better
able to
understand Saudis.
exactly.
Yeah.
You will not be able to understand your customer better, right? So you have to go there, hang out more with your potential customers and potential investors. And I would even encourage to understand their culture and understand their perspective. And it's just general advice. If you want to sell to someone, you need to understand their pain point. What is their pain point? What are you trying to solve? Right? So one might probably want to just implement an idea that was working in the US.
Yep.
Yes, it could work in Saudi. Like for example, buy now, pay later. It was there in US for so many years, right? I'm from the US.
Yep.
It's not new in the US. But here, things were a bit challenging, not just from an infrastructure perspective, but also from culture perspective. People find it not Sharia compliant. So you have to find a way to work with the authorities to make sure that it is compliant with the religion too.
So there's a lot to learn.
Yeah, and the only way you can learn it is when you're dealing with the locals.
Right.
You're interacting with the locals, right?
So besides understanding Saudis, who will most likely be your customer and your investors, what other challenges do you see foreign entrepreneurs face when they're doing business here?
Is there any specific direction you're hinting to? Am I missing something?
No, just anything that you've noticed, any patterns or pain points that continue to come up. One of my guests, Hussein Attar, mentioned that they really need to understand, like, if they're doing business with the government, that the payments take time, and they need to have, backups or other clients to help with the cash flow. Like things like that, that maybe foreigners don't really understand when they first come here to do business, that they find out later. I don't know if anything comes to your mind.
Yeah, so for example, we worked with the Ministry of Sports a couple of months ago. We did their landing page, the Asian Cup website.
I'll have to check it out then.
Yeah, absolutely. Please give us feedback.
Okay.
And so the person in charge there, he told me ahead, and I told him, yeah, I'm aware of this, that government payments take time.
Yeah.
But I was surprised that it didn't take much. Like they're improving it a lot. I remember like 5-6 years ago, it took many months, but now it's much better. It does take time, but it's much better.
So you see things improving.
Things are improving.
What does a typical day look like for you now as a founder and content creator, and you're doing the webinars? What's a typical day for you, and are there any like habits or routines that really help you to stay on track?
So for Sohoby, I have 100% delegated it to a team of project managers, developers, and then business developers as well. And I'm mostly nowadays focusing on Ibtdara. And my day typically looks like, after dropping my son to school, and I come back, after breakfast, I would get ready for the office, and then I'll make sure that before I leave for office, I'll make a video, if I can. And usually it happens like 3 times a week. So if I have time, if I don't have any early meeting. And I go to the office, I have my daily stand-up with the team, with the operation team, and with the business developers. Mostly checking on progress, on the deals, on the existing projects. And then the afternoon is usually spent with clients. And the consultants that I have, they're mostly dealing with the clients, but I do get into the meetings just to shake hands, because what I've understood that they want to come and work with Ibtdara because they have seen my face on social media. So somehow they associate it with me. So, and one thing I have observed in the in Desi community, because I'm catering towards the Desi community, Indians, Pakistanis, is that unfortunately there are so many companies out there that have scammed them. And in the name of that, okay, we'll get you a license, but they never promised. They never delivered what they promised. So, so they do trust me. They do trust the credibility. But when they come to the office, just want to make sure that okay, this is the same company,
Right.
and that's why they want to meet. Personally, I know I don't look like it, just like you. I am an introvert. I would say that I'm an ambivert. I can become extrovert in some situations.
Yeah.
But my comfort zone is that, okay, I work on a laptop, nobody disturbs me.
Yeah.
I rather create video. And it is very exhausting for me if I'm surrounded by like more than one people. So
Or at
it is-
meetings all the time.
yeah, exactly. Meetings all the time. But I'm grateful that I don't have to spend too much. I'm just there for the important part, and then I go back and work on my systems. So I still code, and even though I have a team, but I prefer working on the reminder systems that we have for the webinar, the webinar, the live webinar that we do on YouTube. It's connected with a system called OBS. So I prefer like optimizing it once in a while. The reminder system that I told you, it's not on email, it's on WhatsApp, because apparently people here in Saudi, they ignore emails.
Oh, is that why no one's answering me?
Probably.
Okay.
The open rate on WhatsApp is quite high.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've seen
That's
this.
good to know.
Yeah, I remember like reminding folks on emails, and then later on they will complain, nobody checks emails.
Nobody reminded me.
Yeah,
what?
nobody
I sent you 5 emails.
Exactly. So people here prefer WhatsApp or calls. But in order to scale it, you have to have a system in place. So what I did is I don't know, it's just a thing I'm passionate about, to work on systems, on optimizing it. Remember, I come from a technical background, so I still use those capabilities in my current businesses.
Awesome.
Yeah.
One of the things that you mentioned, how you do your videos and content creation in the morning, and I hear so many people giving this advice, which I really believe, is that you should create before you consume. So first thing, before all the distractions and everything from the day, create something, whether it's a video or a written piece or a journal or whatever you're creating. Create it first thing.
Yeah, because you're fresh
Yeah.
at that time. You don't have, your mind is not affected by all the meetings, all the people that you have met. So yeah, you're probably it's the best time to create content. But sometimes your best ideas do come after client meetings. Usually people asking you questions.
Yeah.
Are like, most people do share the same concerns.
Right.
So if you can cater to those questions. So remember you asked me that from where do you come up with ideas? Now I remembered. So sometimes those ideas also comes through live sessions. So during live sessions, people will ask, I would see that, okay, this question is being asked in every live session. Every live session. Like, for example, they would ask, can we do our business with 100% ownership? Like, they're still not sure. You would keep asking this question. So you have to come up with different answers, different ways. Are you sure that the government is now giving premium residency to business owners? Why would they do that, for example? So they have doubts, and this question will get repeated, for example. Then you have to explain to them that Saudi wants people to come here, live here. They're creating cities. These cities are for people, right?
Yeah.
They cannot expect people to just come here, work, and then leave. They know that, okay, they're building these cities for long term.
Yep.
So they're giving premium residencies to people who are talented, who are running their businesses, and along with them, they're giving it to their kids and their spouses and their parents.
Which I'm glad you brought up because I did want to ask you about that. When did you get your premium residency and how did that application process go? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I was very blessed to get it in the month of Ramadan. It was, I would say, that one of the best gifts I could ever receive. And the process I went through was the investor residency.
Okay.
And there are a couple of products from the Premium Residency Center, and they're changing it. They keep changing it. So I'm not sure when this video will be watched. So if it's watched too late, do check the Premium Residency Center website. Things might change. So there are now 7 products. Initially, they had two products. One is limited premium residency, so you pay 100K every year, and then you are a premium resident, you and with your family members. And then you had the lifetime premium residency. These are, like I'm talking about the 2 initial products where you pay 800K and you get it for lifetime. Then last year, I remember April 2024, they launched 5 new products, and they're very exciting. Like, for example, there is one specific product for entrepreneurs. So if you have raised investment in your startup, then you are eligible for premium residency. One is for investors, not the angel investors, I mean the one who are license holders. So let's say if someone is a business owner. So that would be classified under investor. So that's the one I got.
Okay.
And then one is for job holders as a special talent premium residency. So if you're working in a priority specialization and you have a specific salary that is listed on the website, I don't want to mention it because they keep changing it. So then you're eligible. Then one is for if you are exceptionally talented in culture or arts. And the 5th one, I do not remember exactly, but there is a 5th one too. So there are like 5 new products.
Was it a no-brainer for you?
Yeah, the 5th one is off if you have a real estate worth 4 million.
Right, okay.
So then you have, you're eligible for a premium residency.
And was it a no-brainer for you to apply for that?
Yeah, it was like a wish come true. It's literally like Saudi citizenship minus the passport. So you don't have to pay any dependent fee, no exit to entry. There's no work permit fee. You don't have to, your visa does not need to be sponsored by your company or any other sponsor. You can buy as many real estate properties as you want. Previously, if you don't have a premium residency, you can only buy 2, and only after getting a permission from Ministry of Housing. But once you become a premium resident, you can buy as many properties as you want, and you can rent them out as well.
You can rent them out?
Yes.
I did read something about you can't rent out the residential.
So I did check on the PR Center.
Oh, you did?
I did check on the PR Center and with the terms and conditions. There's nothing mentioned as of now that you cannot rent it out.
Interesting.
So imagine, it's written clearly you can buy residential and commercial properties. Why would you buy commercial properties? Of course, to rent them out. You don't live in commercial properties.
Right. Well, and you're using them for your business.
But there's nothing mentioned that you cannot rent them out.
Okay, Ahmed, we have some rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. Best purchase this past year under 500 SAR?
So similar to these microphones, I have these Rode microphones that are very portable and I can connect with my phone. And I love them because a lot of times I have like ideas in my mind and I cannot wait because I don't want to miss that energy and inspiration that I have. So, and one of my like best videos that I had like almost 1 million views were made using those microphones.
What are they called?
I think they're Rode microphones. Rode. So similar.
Rode is a brand.
Rode is a
brand.
Rode is a brand.
Oh, okay.
And they're like lavalier microphones. You can connect with your phone, with your camera, and they're very, very portable. Similar to these, but from Rode.
Where did you get them? Do you remember?
I got it from Amazon. Yeah. So I feel like they're like one of my best purchases. Yeah.
What's always on your desk?
Can I mention multiple items or just one?
Go ahead.
So I have a copy of the Quran on my desk. And then even though I'm a digital person, I do have my notepad. Because I feel like sometimes the laptop is very distracting. Even though I have my notifications off, but then I have my natural instincts to open YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. And so sometimes having just a notepad with the pen helps me a lot to focus. So yeah, that's always on my desk.
One thing people are surprised to learn about you.
They think I'm an extrovert. Yeah, they think that I am an extrovert, and it's very difficult to explain it to them that talking to a camera feels like you're talking to a person. It doesn't feel like I'm talking to an audience. Or even if you're on stage, for me, talking to an audience, maybe because I was in Toastmasters, so I got used to it. But I think a real extrovert is someone who could talk to like bunch of people together and not get exhausted.
Yeah.
And they feel
the energy piece, right?
Exactly. They get energized. They go
Yeah.
back and they say, "Wow, I love it." For me, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
I can talk to a group of people, but when I go back, I just want to sleep there for 2 days.
Yep. First job. The first job you ever had.
Okay, first job I ever had was in Pakistan. I don't know if I should call it a job because I was not paid, but it was like kind of a partnership with my friend. So initially he hired me, but then he said, "Okay, you could work in the business development." He was running this software development company,
Okay.
and it was kind of his startup, and he didn't have he couldn't afford to pay, but he said, "Okay, let's go with the partnership model." So yeah, that was my first job as selling his solutions to customers.
How old were you?
I think I was 22. I feel like that's when I graduated, but 23, 22. But now I remember that my first task assignment was when I was 16. I designed a banner for a local shop and they paid me something.
And someone paid you.
Yeah, but that was not a job, but they kept giving me those tasks. So yeah, I was, I think, 15 or 16, yeah.
Favorite Saudi cafe or restaurant?
Okay, so I'm gonna shamelessly promote my friend here.
Go ahead.
He runs Ash Cafe in Jeddah, and actually he was very helpful. He's from Yemen, and he also is an investor here. He got the MISA license, and yeah, thanks to him and Abdurrahman as well. They were my seniors. They were part of the MBSC to 2017 cohort. So they gave me a lot of information on how to get the license. So Ash Cafe, Al Muhannad, is the founder, and they're based in Jeddah. So one of my favorite spots.
Awesome. We'll
Yeah.
check it out.
Thanks.
What are you most excited about in the future, personally or professionally?
So I always had this from my relatives and family that, okay, you're wasting your time in Middle East, in Saudi. You should just go to the US, move to the US, Canada, Europe. At least they can give you citizenship. So you can be stable. And what I'm really excited about is that Saudi is not just giving premium residencies, they're also giving citizenships. So some of my friends that were on your podcast, they got it. And it's very exciting because there are a lot of us who don't find any place on earth, home, other than Saudi. And I hope, and I know that if we're contributing to the country, and and now with the premium residency and the citizenships, once you have this long-term association that, okay, my kids will grow here, my kids will live here, so it makes us work even harder for the betterment of the society and the country. So that makes me really excited. Yeah, because that was the missing puzzle, I guess. Like I always enjoyed living here, the friends, the peace, the economy, the people, the food, everything. But that was the missing puzzle. And I think we now have the answer. We now have that missing puzzle.
That is exciting. Is there anything that we didn't touch on today that you would like to share that comes to mind?
Yeah, this is a regular comment on my social media profiles, which is that, and I still get frustrated because it's so easy to find information now. Even ChatGPT can help you answer these questions. So don't believe what was in the past, okay? Just go out and search, meet with people. And maybe in the past it was difficult, but not anymore. Things have changed rapidly, and this country is changing at a rapid scale.
Yep.
So yeah, challenge your assumptions and go out there and find the information. The right information will change your life.
And know your source,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. When you meet people, and you will be amazed that you can go to the ministries directly here, and people are willing to help, not just the entrepreneurial ecosystem, but the government entities as well. Go there. Most of them now speak English. You don't have to speak in Arabic. So yeah, just go there. Don't be afraid, because till now I see that people are kind of that, okay, why waste time? We're not gonna get any help. But what's the harm in trying, right?
Yeah. I mean, if I had listened to what everyone said to me about moving to Saudi Arabia when we did in 2016, I mean, I would never have this amazing opportunity in life for my family that we have. So also sometimes you have to see for yourself.
True. Yeah.
Where can everyone follow your journey?
So my social media handles are Ahmad Biz Tech. So AhmadBizTeck. So they can find me there, and you can open my website ahmadmushtaq.com, or you can just Google me Ahmad Mushtaq, and probably you're gonna find all my social media handles.
Okay, and most of the content is in Urdu now, but your website's in English also.
Yeah.
And
I do create content in English time
Okay.
to time, but mostly it's in Urdu,
okay,
because that's where I find that the gap is.
and the subtitles are in Arabic.
So the subtitles are generated automatically by the platform.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm sorry in advance if
We'll just bring you on here regularly for the English updates. Well,
Sure.
Thank you so much, Ahmed, for taking the time while you're in Riyadh and meeting with us and sharing your journey and all of this expertise that you've learned. I'm sure it's going to be really helpful for others.
It's been a fun session with you. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful. And I really admire what you're doing. It's, as I told you before the podcast, it's very much needed. And we need more and more videos coming out of this podcast. Not this specific episode, but all the episodes, of course. And yeah, and I believe what you're doing is very impactful. We need more of this.
Well, thank you for the encouragement. Appreciate it.
Pleasure's all
Ahmed.
mine.